We got some Jimmy Butler trade rumors on today's episode of the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. There was some buzz earlier this week about two potential destinations for Jimmy Butler, that being the Dallas Mavericks and Houston Rockets. We'll talk about each of those potential destinations, as well as if the Heat should even trade or entertain a Jimmy Butler trade this season. And that's kind of where I want to start today's episode. But first, I want to get your thoughts on the matter before I talk about why I feel the way that I do. Should the Heat trade Jimmy Butler? Type T for trade or type K for keep. It's the pinned comment on today's video, so go down and answer the question. I'm just going to tell you right now, I do it. I mean, I'm going to be honest. If you get a good enough trade offer at the deadline in early February, I am trading Jimmy for a lot of reasons. But we'll start with the financial ones first, because he has technically 2 years left on his contract, but likely only going to be one. This year is $48.7 million, and then next year in the 25-26 season, it's $52.5 million. But it is a player option. It is widely expected that Butler is going to opt out of that deal and become an NBA free agent and seek a 2-year Supermax extension, because due to the new CBA rules, you cannot get a Supermax extension past the age of 35, and Butler, who is 35, 36 by the end of, or the start of next season, needs the cash in now. That 2-year Supermax looks like this. It's a total of $113 million, 55 of that coming next season, and 58 of it being in 26-27. And if he does get that 2-year Supermax extension, that player option year just becomes fully guaranteed. So realistically, it only is a $3 million pay bump on next year's contract, and then you just add that one extra year in 26-27 at $58 million. But the issue is, I don't know if I want to do that for Butler. There is no one who likes Jimmy more than me. I think he is the third best player in Miami Heat history behind Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, because as a number one option, he has taken you to 2 NBA Finals and got you to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times, and also took you out of being in mediocrity when you had the Hassan Whiteside, Tyler Johnson years. So to me, I think that you can always respect Butler. But you have to also realize that he can't be a number one on a championship contending team anymore. Like, seriously, like, when you think about it, his body's breaking down. He doesn't give you the effort that is required to be a top 5, top 6 team in the Eastern Conference during the regular season consistently. Like, you see it. Like, he got hurt just a couple days ago against the Raptors. It forced him to miss Monday's game against the Celtics because what? He fell down? Like, there was no massive contact there. He just always has these nagging injuries, and it's holding the Heat back. And then also, when you think about his game, he relies on the mid-range, getting to the foul line. Like, he's not someone that will be able to gracefully end his career like a Steph Curry and being able to shoot threes consistently from the beyond the arc, or like a Kevin Durant type thing. And with the Heat being 10-10, which is 7th in the Eastern Conference as of filming right now, it doesn't feel like the Heat are going to be able to compete in the East for a finals or a championship this season, or really in the next couple of years. You've got teams like Orlando continuing to build. Boston's always going to be there. The Knicks, you wonder if the Sixers bounce back next season. There's just so many young teams ascending in the Eastern Conference, and to me, it feels like the Miami Heat are descending. So if someone offers a young player plus a couple of first-round picks for Jimmy Butler at this trade deadline, and you already have the inclination that he's going to be a free agent this year because he opts out of your contract, it's brainer, in my opinion, to move off of Jimmy Butler now so you can at least recoup some assets for the superstar, rather than potentially letting him walk in the offseason for nothing, or having to do a sign-and trade where you do get some assets back, but not as good as assets as you would have had if you dealt him at the deadline when there is a potential bidding war. We're going to have more conversation here on Butler, but make sure you are subscribed. We're the #1 Heat YouTube channel out there. Make sure you hit that sub button. We're on the road to 16K subscribers. Join the channel today. All right, Michael Scotto had this note on Jimmy Butler trade rumors here. This came out and is what sparked this video idea, as well as the conversation around the Mavs and Rockets. He said, within League Circle, there's been quiet discourse about whether the Houston Rockets or Dallas Mavericks will eventually land Butler, a Texas native, should he and Miami decide to part ways. And this intrigues me. One couple reasons. Jimmy is from the state of Texas. He's actually from Houston, so I think the Rockets would make more sense, and they actually intrigue me as a trade partner for Jimmy Butler way more than the Dallas Mavericks. We'll look at each side of the equation in just a second. But we are sponsored by Game Time, the best ticketing app out there. And if you want to go see any live event, whether it's a sporting event, comedy show, concert, theater, this is the best place to get your tickets. With so many great features that makes purchasing tickets easier, it is the easiest experience. One of those features, Game Time Picks, that filters out the fluff to show you only incredible great deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. A couple other features I really like. All-in pricing. When you toggle that feature, you get a total price of your ticket up front rather than getting blindsided by fees at checkout. You can also get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know where you are sitting. You're not going to be behind a billboard. You're not going to be behind a pole, a stanchion, whatever you want to call it. You know exactly how good your seat is going to be. I used Game Time to get my tickets to when I went to go see the Mets, Dodgers, NLCS Game 4 or 5, College Football Week 1, USC, LSU. I use Game Time every time I go to a live event. And when you use Game Time for the first time, you can get $20 off your first purchase when you download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. Terms apply, first purchase only. But one more time, download the app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Link is in the description and comments of today's video. What time is it? It is game time. If you've been with the channel for a while and have watched some of our Trade Rumors videos on acquiring players or even trading away players, specifically Jimmy Butler, you would know that my number one destination in a Jimmy Butler trade has and will always be the Houston Rockets. I love them as a partner for Miami. Why? They have 9 tradable first-round picks. They have a lot of young talent, whether it's Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson, Reed Shepard, Jalen Green, Elfren Şengün. Like, not all those players are going to be available, of course, but you just get the point of they have a lot of guys, 26 and younger, that they could be willing to part ways with to get a superstar veteran like Jimmy Butler into their locker room. And with the Rockets playing extremely good basketball this season, looking like a potential contending team in the West, they could be that one piece away, a la Jimmy Butler, from getting to that point. So what would a trade look like in my opinion? Now, I mentioned off the top, I said 2 first-round picks and a young player. Well, in this deal, the Heat are getting Jabari Smith Jr., the former 3rd overall pick. He's been not the best, but he is a potential front court partner of Bam Adebayo. He's 6'11", he's lengthy. He has shown the ability to be an elite defender, but also shown the ability to knock down some shots off the catch. That's the number one thing he does have to improve on, as well as maybe developing a little bit of a handle so he's not completely reliant on stationary off-ball shooting right now. But the defensive duo of him and Adebayo would be very fun in the front court because I really like Jabari Smith's ability to defend. But also in that potential trade, you are getting Steven Adams, and Dillon Brooks, 2 salary fillers because Brooks makes 22, Adams makes 12, Jabari makes 9. It comes close to that $48 million range you have to get to with Jimmy Butler's contract. And then you get the 2 first-round picks I wanted in 27 and 2029. One's from Phoenix, one's from Dallas. You give up Jimmy Butler and Nikola Jovic. Jovic is not getting any PT on this Heat team right now. It makes me upset. That's my sweet prince. I wanted him to work out more than anyone else on this Heat organization to be the long-term 4 next to Bam Adebayo. Seems like it's not going to be going that way. So you cut bait with him alongside Jimmy, get a potential long-term 4 plus 2 first-round picks. When you flip it over to the Dallas Mavericks now, I don't really see Dallas as even close to a possibility. I really don't. They have a couple weird contracts. Luka Doncic gets paid mid-40s per season, obviously. Kyrie Irving gets paid about $41 million. But their next highest contract after those 2 guys, it's Klay Thompson getting paid $15 million. So they don't really have a contract that can go back to Miami in order to make this work. And Dallas is such up against the apron, just like Miami is, where there's not a lot of flexibility here between the 2 teams for one of the squads to take back a lot more salary than the others. So it would have to be some wild 3-team trade where contracts would be going everywhere to land Jimmy Butler in Dallas. And maybe that ultimately helps Miami get more assets, couple from Dallas, couple from that unnamed 3rd team. But it just doesn't feel as feasible to happen as what would happen probably between Houston and Miami, which could be an easy 1-for-1 team trade where they get picks, young guy, and the Rockets get their superstar. But if you had to pick a partner for the Miami Heat, if they did trade Jimmy, this is an if, but if you had to choose one of the two teams to trade Butler to, who would it be? HOU for the Rockets, DAL for the Mavericks. I like Houston a lot more. It's them without hesitation for me. I think it would be cool to see Jimmy team up with Luka and Kyrie because I think they would probably be the favorites to win the title in the Western Conference. But if we're just talking about purely the Miami Heat side of things and how they can retool and rebuild their roster and contend the quickest, it would be a deal with the Rockets because you get those 2 first-rounders to add to your ammunition to trade in the future. You get a young guy that you can try to build up in your shooting lab, which we've seen Miami's coaches develop a lot of good shooters with Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus. They all shoot way better in Miami than other places. I think that is a testament to your coaching, and I would trust them to get Jabari Smith right, or at least to the best point of their ability if they did make that trade. But to end today's show, Rolly's final word. I am pulling a trigger on a Jimmy Butler trade, but I am willing to bet he does not get traded. I think this is Pat Riley's last hurrah over the next year or two, and I don't think he wants to send himself out on a rebuild and trade people away. I think he'll try to ultimately add to this roster or at least keep things afloat to see how this team can fare in the postseason. Maybe they make a minute deal like a Terry Rozier trade or a Duncan Robinson trade, but I do not see them overhauling the roster in any way. I think that's the bad decision. I think they should probably choose either going all in to, because you're right now, what we talked about earlier, they're mid. They're 10-10. They should either try to get up here into the top echelon, or they should try to move back a little bit and start a little rebuild with Hero and Bam potentially. But I think they're going to stay in the middle, unfortunately. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed because we're dropping content on the daily. We will be live next Thursday is the next time we're going to be live on the channel for Heat Raptors, but we're going to have videos in between those missing days. So hit that sub button. Go Heat.